So over the past year and a half, I've been able to work with quite a few startup founders. And we're not talking about little fruit stand people, folks that are doing value addition in coffee, folks that have publishing companies. We're talking fashion, real estate, GIS software development, things of that nature. So we have a portfolio of our 9 best founders whose startups are the most promising. And we're currently incubating them over a 9-month period where we
That's
provide centralized marketing, accounting, and legal service, as well as we're currently positioning them for the next phase of funding. They're all seed stage businesses, but by the time we leave, we want to have them fully funded for at least 1 full year. And so that's what's been my work and my mission here on the continent. And it's really just evolved and gained a life of its own. Been to Ethiopia, uh, again, like I said, Kenya, folks are from the DRC. I have a mission here. This is a call. It's not
yeah.
like this joyride. It's actually something that I have to do because, someone has to. We know we need to bridge the gap. We know that there is an important aspect of the diaspora that the continent might need. And I'm not here to save the whole world or any of that. I tell people all the time here in Uganda, I'm not here to start no revolution or nothing like that. I'm just here to do my part and what I got to do. I live amongst the people like an evangelist. No one would ever know these are the things that I'm doing. I mean, now obviously I'm
Listen,
doing,
your
some.
aesthetic gives Ugandan. I'm trying to tell
Hey,
you. I was
hey,
like, his daddy must be Ugandan. And you were
hey,
like, no, I'm African American from Texas. I was like, oh, okay now.
man, I'm from East Side, Bryan, Texas.
Known for the big like nyash.
The big,
Booty women.
big booties. Oh man, the ladies out here, yeah, it's up. Um,
How
I
has
mean,
dating been for you?
I was very fortunate. I met a young lady like the very first day that I got to Uganda. I literally check it, Brittany. I got off the plane in Entebbe, which is where the international airport is. They had this COVID thing where you had to go take a test. But anyway, I hopped in the airport taxi that drove me 4 hours away to Eastern Uganda. I got out of the airport taxi. My buddy met me there. We walk into a grocery store and I asked this lady, like, yo, do y'all have some Gatorade? And she kind of looked at me like this. And I was like, oh man, I gotta know who I gotta know her. And so I've been very fortunate ever since then. I mean, I got her number and she's actually here with me right now. And we've just been building, our life together here in Uganda.
Okay
Um,
now. Talk to me nice in Lugandan.
yeah, Jebele Nievo. Yeah, Kale. Asante. So Jebele Nievo, like, hey, how you doing? Kale, okay, Kale, okay, okay. And that might be as far as I can go, but at least I got something.
Yeah. Hold up. What is up, you guys? I am here with my first virtual interview. So this has actually been like real tumultuous, but it was necessary. It was needed. Yeah, I like the in-person vibes, as you guys know. So if I'm bringing you something virtual, it's because it's super important, right? Like it's super necessary. So I want to introduce my guest, Ethan. I would like you to start off. If you had to describe yourself in 3 sentences in your purpose here on my channel, which is about bridging the gap, what would it be?
Wow. Let's see. Describing myself in 3 sentences in my purpose. I help people. That's the first thing. Um, I like to look at myself as a visionary. I see things as they are. And the third thing I would say about myself is when necessary, I'm the life of the party.
I love
No,
that.
I'm trying to really stay in those 3 sentences you gave me. You feel me? But like I
When
said, I help people. That's
necessary,
the main thing.
you do help people. So I get a lot of emails and people like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm sending books, I'm sending clothes. What really attracted me to you when I did my research was, first of all, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't dig deep at first. I thought you were like a lost Ugandan in America.
I
I
get
didn't
it.
know you were African American in Uganda. So, how did you just the whole backstory before we get into what you do on the continent? How did you end up going to Uganda or like an African country in general? Because, as African Americans, a lot of us don't make it.
Mm. For sure, actually here in Uganda, I'm in Kampala, and so people say if I never talked, then they would think I was Ugandan as well. But my Luganda is not good. When I get here, I've always had a penchant. I knew that at some point in my life, I wanted to fulfill the African in my identity. I identify as African American. So as far back as undergrad, I used to befriend the African students, and then same thing at graduate school. And so one Mother's Day, I was at a cookout in Texas, and so it was just an African cookout, and I didn't know anyone, but my friend had invited me, and so I kind of went near the DJ booth, like you always want to rock with the DJ, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm Ugandan, and I have a school in Uganda." And we began talking, and I told him, "Well, I have a curriculum I've created." And lo and behold, he was like, "Well, look, you should come teach my teachers how to teach your curriculum." And I was like, "I'm coming back." I think that was in like 2019-ish, somewhere along those lines. And then during
Okay.
COVID lockdown, I just went all in. I was always on YouTube looking at other people that had gone to the continent. And ultimately, in the summer of 2021, I stepped foot on African soil in Kenya. I took a direct flight from JFK to Nairobi, 14 hours. It wasn't bad at
That
all.
KQ, the KQ
Man,
flight.
it was
Right?
all good. It was all good. And so that's how I got here. And so I came to go and teach the teachers at my friend's school in rural Uganda. And even then it was a bunch of it was very difficult because the country was on lockdown. But just briefly, the after that, he eventually said, "Well, I got a friend that has a radio show." And I went on that radio show and told people about what I'm sure we'll get into with shift and other things. And I said, "Hey, here's my number." I had a little local Ugandan line, and I said, "If you're up for it, give me a call." By the time I got to the car, I had 25 missed calls. So I knew I had found fertile soil for the things that are, near and dear to me. And so this is my third tour. I've been here for 6 months.
Wow. So, how long did you spend in Kenya before you went to Uganda?
I was in Kenya for like a week and a half. I was in Nairobi, and then I went up near the equator. I think it's called Nakuru. Yeah, fun
Nakuru. Okay.
fact, it's the place
Yeah,
where
yeah.
the last living white rhinoceros is. So I saw her. I think she passed away recently, but that's a
You
fun
know what's
fact.
crazy? She's not even white.
She's not. She's great. Like all rhinoceroses
Yeah,
are.
it's weird. It's a weird thing. So, when you were growing up, like, a lot of us African Americans, even us being both HBCU grads, there was just a lot of like misinformation or no information on like our brothers and sisters of the diaspora on the African side, right? How
Absolutely,
has
still is. Crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, is that the same like kind of story for you as me, or did you like learn about African history from your parents or growing up or not really?
Nah, I just knew, when we were younger, if you were born in the 80s, you saw commercials that had, malnourished children saying you can feed a kid for $1 a day. You know what I'm saying? That was the visual, the imagery. And, so no, I wasn't told or taught about many things about Africa other than, that's where you came from and those kind of things, the standard model of history. But, I wanted to know more. I've always wanted to know more. And so for me, that's why it's so important to bridge the gap even now. And what you find here on the continent is that native Africans that have never left are just as curious about us in Africa as an African American as we might be about them, and we've all been told different stories by the middleman who, in most
Yeah.
times, is the oppressor.
Yeah. What's crazy to me? I went to an HBCU, paid a lot of money to go to this
Good money.
HBCU. Okay. Howard University, African diaspora major. And they focus so much on like Africa and its antiquity, like the old Mali Empire, Songhai Empire, old Ghana Empire. And I had a lack of understanding of modern Africa. like my
Mm.
brothers and sisters that are there now. So even me having been an African diaspora major, us having gone to HBCUs, there's like still a lack of information on the continent that makes it pertinent for you to actually have to go and be able to share out with others directly to build the gap, right? And social media has been making that a lot better as well. So, like, let's talk about your mission with Shift, how you use social media to like catapult that. Like, what was your first ground steps when you got there and were like teaching teachers? How did you kind of take helping him and his purpose into like repurposing your own?
Yeah, I like that. And just to feed off of what you said, but prior to, just like Kanye said in Good Life, it feel like Houston, it feel like Miami, it feel like Uganda, it feel like Nairobi, right? And so it's so amazing.
Mm,
I work from
okay,
home.
now.
Like I work from home, but when I go outside, I'm like, oh, I forgot I'm out here. I could just get a avocado from the tree off my balcony. It feel like Kampala. So I wanted to put that out
Mm,
there. And then also, yes, I do want to, we talking about HU. I definitely got to shout out the Spellhouse family. I'm a Morehouse man. So that's what we do. So my
I have a
first,
question.
you want to jump into that? Okay, let me hear
Just
your
real
question.
quick,
All
real
right, let's
quick.
do that. Let's do that.
If you could give your degree back, would you?
No, man, lay your degrees down. I wouldn't give nothing. No, I need that.
Did you pay out of pocket or did you get scholarships?
I got scholarships. I paid probably like maybe 50, 40%, but my first book was about paying for college because I got a lot of scholarships.
We gotta chat because this Howard
You
degree
trying to
ain't
give
good for
your
me.
Howard degree
Okay.
back?
Give if I could get my money back, I would give my Howard degree back.
She want a refund.
I
No, I
want a
feel you. I
refund.
feel
I
you.
swear.
I was a non-traditional student. I didn't go to college until 23, and so I left a job in banking. I was an assistant store manager at a shoe store, and then when I went to college and I started learning how you're supposed to do things, it did take me a long time to adjust to my natural instincts versus what
Okay.
I had been told I needed to be doing. And so I've sort of, in a roundabout way, I've been balancing that. But I think overall, if you look at just your network and your Howard family, I know for me, I love, the brotherhood is so incredible that I would pay that amount with interest to have the brotherhood of my Morehouse brothers and my Spellman sisters for sure.
That's sweet, but the internet has also given me a lot of networks, but we're gonna keep it moving now.
For
Okay, so
sure.
turning that purpose that you got sent for in Uganda
Mm.
to Uganda, how did you kind of like make it your own and turn it into Shift specifically?
Everything about my reality and how I move and when I get a vision or something that I want to do is usually very, very simplistic. In Nairobi, when I first got there, I would see people, they have these little shops along the road. You don't need no permit to set up a shop. And then I got to come to Uganda and travel, 4 hours east. And in every town, every village, you saw the same thing. People just setting up, selling bananas, like they call it small, small shops. And so I started thinking like, man, you could be out there 12 hours and you only get to sell to people that walk by that little space. And so I create the idea of leveraging the internet became, something I wanted to do. And then of course, once I came back to the States, I did an idea dump. And that was the thing that stood out most. I had gone through 2 years of teaching in Houston at a prep school, even during COVID, and we had transitioned into virtual learning. And so that's how I began teaching in a virtual space to young people in Uganda and Kenya. And, we're represented by 8 different countries. We did a pilot program that October. I got back home in July 2021. We did a pilot program in October. And we've had 4 cohorts since then that have all been virtual. So that's how it started. Just seeing people and knowing how you can really grow an economic base. You have to be able to export something, some service, some product, but people were only selling to folks that could walk by. So, for example, if in a small town like in Bali, Eastern Uganda, Bukadia village, if there's only, for example, $10,000 and that's just circulating, and and you're never, no one's ever selling a service or a product elsewhere to bring more money in. So I just thought
Mm.
about leveraging economic growth and introducing people to things like digital marketing and automation and now AI. And it's evolved into so much more because the mission and the shift approach, which I'll go into in a moment, is so much bigger than just using the internet, but it just expands people's mind. And once your mind's expanded, it can never be the same.
It can't. And go into your mission, please. Like, what if I'm just someone on looking? What is shift? What is your purpose? What is the long term like effect that you want shift to have? Like, just tell us a little more.
Yeah, so the shift approach is a lifestyle, and so shift is an acronym. So the acronym, the S stands for Save Your Money, and that's about understanding the basics of supply and demand, budgeting, financial forecasting for startup founders now at this phase of shift. The H is Help Your Family, and that's about understanding intergenerational mobility, being a servant leader in the business aspect, understanding who your team is, your customer avatar, that sort of idea. The I is imagine your goals. So anyone that comes through our program, you have to create a 90-day launch plan to either launch your business or some new product or an event to sort of raise awareness. And you also create a 5-year plan for your life, because that's what I did when I initially began to shift the way I view the world. The F is follow directions, and that's about perseverance, being able to do what you said you wanted to do long after the feeling has left you. And the T is think accurately, and that's about rising above narrow-minded petty thinking, propaganda that tells me that I can't go to Africa, I'll die. That tells me that I'm an African American, so here are my ceilings. And so that's what we teach in so many different ways. It's about mindset, building and maintaining the mindset of a champion. And so, what we do now with Shift is, again, we've had the first program that I call it launching into e commerce. And from there, as I see who's really serious about working here on the continent, we have about 90 members, by the way. Our second program is in person. It's called Shift Launchpad. We had our first one in December 2022 when I got back, a 3-day in person training. And now, where we are now, as I kind of talk a bit about the long term vision, is a program called Shift Ventures. And so, over the past year and a half, I've been able to work with quite a few startup founders. And we're not talking about little fruit stand people, folks that are doing value addition in coffee, folks that have publishing companies. We're talking fashion, real estate, GIS software development, things of that nature. So we have a portfolio of our 9 best founders whose startups are the most promising. And we're currently incubating them over a 9-month period where we
No.
provide centralized marketing, accounting, and legal service, as well as we're currently positioning them for the next phase of funding. They're all seed stage businesses, but by the time we leave, we want to have them fully funded for at least 1 full year. And so that's what's been my work and my mission here on the continent. And it's really just evolved and gained a life of its own. Been to Ethiopia, uh, again, like I said, Kenya, folks are from the DRC. Last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you jump back in there. One of the things that really showed me this is far greater than me, because this is something I really just self fund. My academic background is real estate development, urban planning. I just put my own money into it, but I've realized since I've been here for the last 6 months, one of my enterprises from the spring cohort is a refugee from the DRC, and
Mhm.
she's so dynamic. And when I met with her one on one and heard her story, I was like, yo, this is like so much bigger than anything I could have ever thought. There's millions of refugees that we could, go into these refugee camps. And so where we're at now is I'm in the process of forming a board and then doing a round of fundraising for the ventures program so that, other people who have, a caveat, everyone had all the people in Shift Ventures have an African American mentor. That's one of our key elements of bridging the gap and what we're doing in this space so that people can build these relationships with folks that are in other countries across the world, not just here in Uganda. So I
I
hope that
love that.
yeah, I was about to say, I think I put it
A
out there
lot of
pretty clear.
people, a lot of African Americans gravitate naturally towards West Africa. What would you have if you had not been invited to Uganda specifically? Like, what was the dream country kind of that you were interested in as far as traveling to Africa?
Man, Uganda chose me. I like to say it that way because I wouldn't have chose Uganda because, really when you like you said, when you look at the African map, like who picks Uganda? We don't know anything about it. But Uganda chose me. So I wouldn't choose anywhere else now. But Kenya, one of my
I
friends
love
from
that.
graduate school is a developer in Kenya. And so what I did, Brittany, I studied to see, well, what country has a direct flight from the US? At first,
Yeah.
I was gonna go to I think it's Lome is the city, but anyway, there was a direct flight from
Oh,
Houston to
Togo.
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 There was a direct flight from Houston to Togo before COVID, and so that's where I was gonna go because I just wanted to go somewhere that had a direct flight. I had this
Yeah.
vision of just going back from whence I came without having to go to Europe. So I didn't have
Yeah.
like a dream super country, but once I discovered the direct flight to Kenya, my friend is there from graduate school, and then my friend from Uganda. Uganda has become a place I've fallen in love with.
What do you love about Uganda? The pearl of
Man,
Africa.
man, I
When I
love the
went to
people.
Kampala, it was nice, but I did not dive in deep enough to Uganda. So just tell me a little bit about your life in Uganda and the people, your connection with the people, because obviously for you to have this movement, you have to have a community of people there.
Yes, absolutely. Being from the South and Texas, we use the word "throw." So I'm gonna say the Uganda a throw place. First of all, people from Houston appreciate that. So it's day-to-day life here in Uganda is if I'm keeping it a band, it's very chaotic because traffic laws are if you want to you can, if you don't want to you don't have to. Most people drive on these motorcycles called boaters, and you just yeah you just moving how you gotta move. It's crazy. But here's the thing. Nobody's ever gonna die. Nobody's ever gonna be hungry in Uganda. No one's ever gonna be hungry in Uganda because there's too much food. There's literally out on my balcony, I just go pick avocados when I want
Yeah.
guacamole. You could go to the fruit stand, and I think one day I went and I did a video. I'll have to share it with you. I had a bag full of groceries, and it was like 30,000 shillings, which is like $10. The American dollar is very strong here. The people are amazing. uh you can really do that. People in Kampala, they like to say anything is possible in Uganda.
Yeah.
And I'm a witness of that. And that's why I like it because I'm a canvas kind of guy. I love blank sheets of paper that allow you to write your own storyline. And that's what Uganda's been at. That's what Uganda has provided me a space to do so far. And I'm grateful.
Uganda's known for the big like nyash.
The big
Booty women.
no big booties. Oh man, the ladies out here. Yeah. It's up.
How
I
has
mean,
dating been for you?
I was very fortunate. I met a young lady like the very first day that I got to Uganda. I literally check it, Brittany. I got off the plane in Entebbe, which is where the international airport is. They had this COVID thing where you had to go take a test. But anyway, I hopped in the airport taxi that drove me 4 hours away to eastern Uganda. I got out at the airport taxi. My buddy met me there. We walk into a grocery store and I asked this lady, like, yo, do y'all have some Gatorade? And she kind of looked at me like this. And I was like, oh man, I gotta know her. And so I've been very fortunate ever since then. I mean, I got her number and she's actually here with me right now. And we just been building, our life together here in Uganda.
Okay,
Um,
now.
yeah, so, day by day and step by step. But,
Yeah.
again, I'm a man, so when I go out there, hey, the ladies, they out here. They didn't lie to us about what's going on in Uganda.
How do you feel about passport bros? Have you heard that topic on Twitter?
Somebody asked me, I believe it has something to do with, you traveling and you kind of like you out there just looking for love. You just looking to sex up a lot of women. Is that what
It's
passport
men
bros?
who feel, yeah, they feel like American traditional modern women are kind of like, yeah. So they're kind of like, I see what I like outside. Like, I'll bring that back. I'll wipe that up. Like, are you one of those people who kind of really do see the difference between like not even just African American women, but American women in dating and then dating outside? Or do you
First,
feel
was
like
saying that I feel you. I really believe that I would say I'm gonna use Uganda because that's my example. I can't say African. Ugandan men would be really on par with the modern American woman. And I think Ugandan women would be go very well with what some of the African American men might want in the traditional values of the role we may have believed a woman would play, and being able
mm,
to balance it out with what we have in 2023. But I personally know many dynamic African American women that, had I been in the States, we could make a life together. But I will say that here on the continent, at least in the women that I've met, I've been to Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, and then up in the Morocco, Egypt area, but specifically sub-Saharan. The modest, um, docile, um, behavior it's kind of new because we've evolved so much in the US. But my natural alpha energy, I really like it to keep it a band, but that doesn't mean I cannot enjoy the empowered African American
yeah.
woman as well as needed.
Yeah. And honestly, I've been saying I think a lot of these women who were like, oh, a traditional African women is changing because of social media as well, you know? Like
Yeah,
there's
they
a lot
balance
of
it well. I know some
yeah,
boss
there's a lot
ladies
of
too, and they
balance.
they balance it well here.
Yeah. What are some of the best success stories that you've seen coming out of your program?
Oh, great. So one of the best success stories I would say is a young lady named Maureen. She has a company called Katabu Coffee. And I met her, actually, she was in our spring cohort this year, and Maureen came in just running. And so we're actually in the process now, she's in ventures too, of helping her begin the process of exporting her coffee. She has very variations of the coffee beans that she farms. She actually buys from female farmers in rural areas, pays them a very fair wage. Ghislaine, who was the young lady that I mentioned prior to, that's from the DRC, a refugee from the DRC. She's doing amazing things with these hand woven purses that we're also in the process of seeking export and import partners. Mark, also from the DRC, Katabu Space on Instagram, I believe it is. Mark has a publishing company. His goal is to publish African stories, another method of shifting the messaging that we receive. So he's published, I think, I want to say 4 or 5 books now from various African authors. If I could throw one more name out there, I know somebody's going to say, Ethan, why didn't you say me? I would say, let me see another. Okay, I'm going to go with the other two people that have won our pitch competitions. One is Joel with Zebraville. Zebraville is a media company. They are actually helping us to create the Shift documentary where we're going to feature, and it's called Africa Rising. We're going to feature 10 of our founders. We're actually doing a preview of it at the book launch event that I'm sure we'll jump into a little later on Juneteenth. So Zebraville is so amazing because I remember having a conversation with Joel, this real shy, creative guy that said, and he's so talented. He was used to be our social media manager. He's like, I really want to tell Black stories I look up to Tyler Perry. I want to be the Ugandan Tyler Perry. And he didn't have
Okay,
anything,
now.
but now, yeah, he legit. And so, but now he's the go-to guy. He actually hosts these incredible Twitter spaces. He's
Yeah.
worked on a documentary with a young girl named Sarah that tells the story of a female basketball player and breaking ceilings for Ugandan women, just to feed off the prior topic we had. And then finally, Yvonne Kiambi is a Kenyan young lady. I met her when I did a lecture at Jomo Kenyatta. And I said, if you guys are interested in some of the things I've talked about, send me an email. It was like 10 minutes later, Yvonne sent me her resume and sent me a cover letter introducing herself. So I took her on as an intern for some of the real estate work we do because that's her major. But she won our summer 2022 pitch competition. Joel won the pilot program, and the winner, no, the October, the fall 2021. Mark won the pitch competition in the winter 2022. And so those, along with the other folks I mentioned, and there's many more, are some of the most dynamic success stories. They're actually doing the work. Yvonne, by the way, I didn't even mention her business. She does like a virtual interior design. I just moved into a place recently and I let her design my office so that my home office, so that I can understand what it is she does. And so she did a dynamic job. I sent her a video of the space I wanted designed. She sent me back a 3D rendering, and then she shops for me and sent me links to go and buy the things I wanted. So, and her website is
Wow.
360interiordesigns.com. And she actually does free consultations, and she can do it from anybody all over the world. She'll shop for you online. You just gotta, click buy on your cart. So
I love
that
that.
those are some of the folks that really stick out as amazing, but there's so many more.
Yeah. How do you think that they have benefited from the relationship with the African American mentor? Like how have you seen that kind of change both sides? What have you gotten out of that?
We started Ventures in April, and our mentoring program is fairly new. But one of the things is when I first reach out to some of my contacts back home in the States, um, they think it's like this charity thing. 'Cause I think there's still a lot of it's Africa in some instances is still synonymous with the idea of just giving. But I'm like, nah, these are real entities that we want to scale. And so I think that the biggest part of it, like I tell both my enterprisers and the mentors, is that don't look at it like a mentor relationship. Look at it as like you're just building a relationship and you're learning from the other person. Because these people, my enterprises are college graduates. Not that completely matters based on the refund that we wanted to get earlier, but they're educated, they're well-to-do folks, and so you can learn from them. They're developed at a mental state that we may not instantly associate with what we think about the continent. So it's been a learning path on both sides, I would say so far. The people I do get that are really excited and back home, African Americans, sometimes they go overboard because they just fall in love. Like Maureen's mentor is so in love with her business. She's like, whenever you get ready to pitch, I'm gonna send you money for an outfit. We're gonna get your hair done.
Uh,
Whoop de whoop de woo. You know what I mean? So I believe it's gonna only get better with more exposure and people seeing, what I see.
I love that. So tell me, how did you kind of get Juneteenth? Because a lot of people I know myself on the continent really do not understand the plight and like the full details of the kidnapping of Africans being brought to America, or like what Juneteenth represents, and like shadow slavery all the way, unless they have some type of like interaction with African Americans in American history. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
A lot of them, I think a lot of people in general don't understand how like deeply rooted segregation and all these things really have affected the African American community, and why there has been like a new shift of celebrating Juneteenth, and like what we're kind of, it's now a federal holiday here.
Mhm.
Do you get what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah,
did they know about Juneteenth before? Because you're doing a Juneteenth initiative in Uganda.
yeah,
How
absolutely.
do you kind of make that connect is kind of where I'm going. Like, how do you bring that to the forefront and build that connection for them to like understand and really like feel what they're celebrating?
Yeah, I love the question. Just starting it from the base, being from Texas, the origins of Juneteenth, I've celebrated it all my life, and it's a really big deal. We've had parades as long as I can remember. And so a part of our job, well, I don't want to give anybody this task, but a part of the development and the building, the bridging of this gap is for African Americans when we come to help share our stories from our perspective. And so that's just all I'm doing is saying, hey, many people I run into, you associate America with just extreme wealth, and you just think I've come with millions of dollars that can just be given out freely. But no, here's our story. we would at some point, someone in my lineage may have had their tongue cut out because they knew how to read. I want you to understand the depths of the horror that we did face, or that it came through my bloodline. And so I do my best to shed light on that. And I think what happened with this idea, I saw that, hey, Juneteenth is coming up. I was at the Uganda Museum. I have the, upcoming memoir to publish. And so I was like, look, it all makes sense. Let's do it on Juneteenth so we can raise awareness around what it is that's the real story behind the plight of the African American. And it's not all woe is me. We got Black excellence. We know we've done great things from the small towns to DC and New York. So we want to
Yeah,
tell all those stories, but we want to be true about the authentic story of what happened that isn't what we smile about. We want to be able to share that, because then, you know what I'm saying, you got to put pepper on some things for it to taste good.
period. What's really interesting that you said is I've celebrated Juneteenth my whole life. Like I have never celebrated Juneteenth in my childhood. I think
Man, you
I
were missing
just
out, man. That's another time to have a barbecue and get together and stanky leg, dominoes, whatever you're trying to
it's
do.
crazy though, because it goes to show it's like what they teach us and what's ingrained is really holds true. Unless it's
Mhm.
hard for me, how would I have done like that research because Juneteenth did or come out of Texas, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
Texas was the last state to hear about freedom.
Hmm.
It derived from Texas. Me as a Virginia history student,
Hmm.
no mentioning
Right.
of Juneteenth at all.
Hmm.
You know,
Mm.
so I am really
Wow.
just now. I'll probably say I've celebrated Juneteenth for the past like 4 or 5 years in my at my big age of 30. So,
Man,
but
back even at like in 2004, 2006, I used to host like basketball games at the high school for Juneteenth. It's called the Juneteenth Traditional. So it's a big, big deal, in Texas, and it has been all of my life.
yeah. Do you still go home a lot? Like, what is your plan? Is your family, are you bringing family out to Uganda? Like, or do you plan on living out there? Like, where do you see yourself in like 5 years?
Hmm. In 5 years, I know I'll have a home in Uganda. I'll be, more engaged with the real estate aspect of my mission. And so I'll be developing. I got my master's degree from Texas A&M, and on my letter of intent in 2010, when I applied for the master's program in land and property development, I said, once I get this degree, I want to then trace my lineage and go to that place in Africa and do development work. And the crazy
Okay.
part about it, Brittany, is that actually I left the program in 12, and all I lacked was like defending my thesis. And so I was like, nah, I did the work, and it was just this technicality that was holding me up. But it wasn't until 2022 I had come back from Africa, and the assistant provost texted me on a Saturday and was like, did you ever get that last part of your degree? It's like 9, 10 years later. And I'm like, I didn't. And so she sort of helped clear the pathway. And so literally it was in this past May that I was able to, get that last little tick, and I commenced. And here I am doing what I said I wanted to do on that letter of intent to go into the program 10 years ago. So in 5 years, I'm gonna be developing here in Uganda and all over East Africa. Um, I'll
Okay.
also, have some things going on back home. But I know for sure I'll be on the continent somewhere, because I just it's amazing. It's in me.
You're not coming back.
That's a great interpretation. I'm glad you can read between the lines. I'll definitely be home to visit. I'm gonna come to visit, but I have a mission here. This is a call. It's not
Yeah.
like this joyride. It's actually something that I have to do because, someone has to. We know we need to bridge the gap. We know that there is an important aspect of the diaspora that the continent might need. And I'm not here to save the whole world, any of that. I tell people all the time here in Uganda, I'm not here to start no revolution or nothing like that. I'm just here to do my part and what I got to do. I live amongst the people like an evangelist. No one would ever know these are the things that I'm doing. I mean, now obviously I'm
Listen,
doing,
your
some.
aesthetic gives Ugandan. I'm trying to tell
Hey,
you. I was
Hey,
like, his daddy must be Ugandan. And you were
hey.
like, no, I'm African American from Texas. I was like, oh, okay now.
Man, I'm from East Side, Bryan, Texas. Right off MLK.
I can't. How is the business like the legit business aspect gone for you as far as what you're doing in Uganda? Because I know a lot of people who go to Kenya and try to like do business get caught up in the license and the visa and how has that legitimacy been for you?
Yeah, with registering a business, it's really been a roller coaster. That's just the way to describe it, because I have registered two entities in Uganda, and one of them is it just keeps getting caught up. For example, the company is called Shift Enterprise Academy. Okay, you can't have Academy in the name. Okay, what about Shift Ventures? Well, there's a company that's too close to that. So it's just been a lot of just basic small things that have sort of giving it a different tone. And then taxation is very different here as well. You have to learn a new tax code. I mean, I got a whole Ugandan constitution in my room right now. But then with the visa, and
Okay,
then
okay, Uganda lawyer loading.
listen, man, if you don't know the rules to the game, how you gonna win it? Um, but the visa situation, I've just been able to extend. Anyone that is wanting to come to this region, you can get an East African tourist visa, which gives you access to Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda for 90 days.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's really cool too. So it's everything is still ongoing. It's evolving in terms of, maybe, getting more of the work visa, because now I'm still working under the auspice of my entity back home. But we're working on getting everything tied and tight so that we can get some of these larger contracts.
Okay. Would you say that you have like dove into the expat community there? What is the African American expat community looking like there?
That's a great question, and actually, I'm not sure. I kind of stay out of the way, but there's some more. I've gotten some people reach out to me that are coming here, or that there's actually a young man here. One of your Bison brothers back recently, he came and he reached out to me, and so I'm gonna meet up with him. But I don't really know where they are. I guess I'm sort of phasing my resettling process. And maybe by January, if I come back around, I'll know we'll be to have some potlucks. But right now, I don't know where they
Focus,
are. Yeah,
focus.
that's it.
Yeah, one of my dreams, honestly, on my bucket list has been to travel to Uganda, Rwanda, Congo, or Burundi and
Mhm,
go gorilla trekking and see
mhm.
chimpanzees.
Hey,
Is
Uganda's the
that,
place to do that.
yeah, is that something that you've like thought about doing or
Hmm. I think that's a great thing. I would love, so when my people start popping up, yeah, we'll do all those things, those kind of like touristy things where you just want to see it and experience it. Yeah, I would love to do that. I think it's called Matchurin Falls. I probably gutted that, and my Ugandans are not gonna forgive me, but there's some places here that I would love to go see as a tourist. One tourist thing I've done is gone to Mombasa in Kenya, and all up and down the coast, there's so many amazing places to visit on the Kenyan coast.
gotta
Uh,
love Kenya?
but I'm
Honestly,
waiting
you
for
really
y'all to
do.
pull up so we can do the tourist stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So you're kind of you're focused on the business right now, and then you'll play a little
I got like a circle of people that I really rock with. They're all Ugandan though, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm learning how to move, and I want to get
yeah,
my Uganda correct so that, but I am really, focused right now. I'm 8,000 miles away from home, so you kind of got to
yeah,
just stay the course. And then as you
yeah,
get, ready, okay, that's how they moving. All right, bet. Well, then let me get
yeah.
in here and see how I can jig.
Now, I feel you. You got to get familiar before you start just running around.
Right, right. That's what my grandfather would have told me, rest his soul. Like, man, you
Yeah.
got to get over there and know what's going on.
Talk to me nice in Lugandan.
Yeah, Jebele Nievo. Yeah, Kale. Asante. So Jebele Nievo, like, hey, how you doing? Kale, okay, oh, Kale, okay, okay. And that might be as far as I can go, but at least I got something.
Yeah. Hold up. Right, you're on the right track. You're on the
Or
right
they
track.
speak that English. The guys they see a lady, sister, 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 brother, brother. But so my Luganda isn't that great. I can do a little bit of Swahili,
Yeah.
Asante, Hakuna Matata, but yeah, we gonna work on that too.
What's your favorite Ugandan dish?
Matoke. Matoke is it's like look like a banana, and it's
I'm
everywhere.
familiar.
Yeah, but I'm a ride with Matoke. I love it. Yeah, I can cook it. And when I cook, sometimes I might take a quick vid or a pic and show my students, and I always lead in with, as a Ugandan man, and then I'll show them some of my newest. The other day, I rode on a boat with a shelf on my head because, in Uganda, you can see
Oh, you
anything.
African. You
Man, I was
African for real.
so proud of myself. Like, man, I'm outside with a shelf on my head on a boater. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But my favorite food is matoke. You can eat that every day here.
Okay, they say that Kampala is like party capital. Are you in the streets or are you in the house?
Man, I'm in the house, but it's out there. It's definitely out there. It's a little spot not too far from me, and they be in there till 5 a.m. The times I have been out, it's bananas. You don't have to go home. You can stay there. It's kind of like, in Miami, like, or there's the spots in the US that it's just up and it's stuck
Yeah,
all night. Yeah, ain't no rules. Ain't no rules. Like ain't no like in New Orleans, ain't no rules out here, boy.
yeah, you can
But now
go
I'm
from the
not in the
club to
streets
work.
yet though, like that. I really
Yeah,
like I just turned 40, so like, I'm a rock star. I'm in the Hall of Fame back home, so I'm just out here doing the work.
now I feel it. Have you introduced your baby to like Texas Southern food?
Let me see. I think I have a little bit, I cook a little bit. Um, but not like talking about because it's not really out here. When I think of Texas Southern food, I'm thinking about my, Sunday, some fried catfish and mashed potatoes with gravy, some green beans. It's out here like that. But no, I'm gonna be honest, that's a great question. I haven't really put her just on. I'm still working on as a Ugandan man, making this good matoke and these good peas and going down to
I
the
feel
fish
that.
man, letting him fry me up some fish right down the corner. Yeah, but it's
How do you
coming.
think that an African American cuisine restaurant as a business would do in the places that you've been?
Think people they could adjust to it, with the right kind of flavor and the right, marketing. Because it's a place in Nairobi called man, what's that place in Nairobi? Alchemist, yeah, and it's very, very American. It's called Alchemist, and I went. But you know what? It's actually owned, I think, by a European.
I was
Uh,
gonna say it's
but that's kind
American,
of
but I'm talking about like soul food,
you talking about some oxtails and carrying on, some pig
like
feet, some collard
macaroni and
greens.
cheese,
I mean,
like yeah, collard
man.
greens.
If somebody come over here and really put it together, it's gonna be love. Everybody gonna get love. Cause people really they big on the swine here in Uganda. You got all kind of pork joints. That's what they call them, pork joints. And the crazy thing is, you go to the spot, to the butcher, and the animal hanging in the window. We don't really ride with that. We want our meat packaged and processed, but
Yeah,
it
we
get
don't
people
want to
over
see
there.
the process. We just want to
Like we
see
don't want
the.
to. Even my avocados
I
I
like
get from
seeing
the
the process
tree.
now.
I mean, even the avocado get from the tree, I'll be thinking like, okay, what I'm supposed to do with it now? Like, nah, bro, it's ready. You just cut it open, like, because I think it's some kind of process.
Yeah, how can my people, anyone watching this, how can we help you shift? What can we do to prepare for this Juneteenth? Like, what is it that you need from our community to move you forward?
Absolutely. That's a great way to put a bow on this. And the thing I would say and ask to anybody that hears this is to visit theroaring30s.com. That's the name of my memoir that's coming out. It's an ode to free thinking millennials. And what you can do is you can purchase the I Am Black History Pack because 100% of those sales are going to go right into helping to fund more startups here in East Africa. The I Am Black History Pack includes the memoir, The Roaring 30s. It includes my first title, which is 5 proven strategies on how to pay for college, which has 2 new chapters here in the 10th year anniversary edition. And then you get an Iron Black History t-shirt. It's 55 bucks. Every single penny goes straight right back into my staff, Again, the funding of the startups. And so that's the one way I would say right now you can be of assistance. If you're interested in being a mentor, you can reach out. I'm not hard to find on social media. I'm sure there may be a link attached to this video. But those are some ways that you can, maybe be a part of this. Tune in on Juneteenth, which is June the 19th. We'll be live streaming. You can get that information on the website. It's actually going to be early for you back home. It's at 7:30 a.m. if you're in Houston, 8:30 if you're in DC. And if you're in LA, man, just stay up all night. It's at 5:30. But definitely I would love to see
Great one.
folks there. You feel me? So yeah, that's how folks can be a part of Shift right now, because again, I self-fund all of this on my own just through my work. And so we want to really, the awareness raising is about people learning and seeing how they can get involved. Not just giving donations. We have some opportunities for people to invest as well. So tap in.
I love this for you.
Thank
Are you
you.
planning on like expanding to West Africa?
Actually, I am. The next time I go visit, my plan is to actually stop in West Africa on the way home, and I should be home as early as this fall and go into Liberia, Nigeria, and most likely Kenya. Actually, when I was in Morocco, I met a diplomat from Cote d'Ivoire, and he invited me there. So, I'm looking forward to
Wow.
being able to have people teach the shift approach in their native
Yeah.
languages. For example, Cote d'Ivoire is a French-speaking country. So we'll just train French speakers to teach this message and let them build their own. I want this thing, it's been in the cocoon long enough. It needs to be a butterfly.
I love that. So can I expect you at my wedding?
Absolutely. Send the invite, email it, how we got to do it. I don't even know when it is, but if it's let's make
It's
it
in
happen.
February. I would love
Oh, we
for
got
you to
time.
bring your girl. Yeah, it's next February in Nigeria.
Oh, I'm loving it. Okay, and Lagos, Abuja.
It's in Benin City. It's in Benin Kingdom in Nigeria.
Okay. Wow. That's a
So a
yes.
lot of people don't know that there's Benin, the country, and then there's Benin Kingdom in Nigeria.
mm.
So it's a 30-minute flight from Lagos.
Okay, I love it. And
We'll chat details.
that's something people can learn about too, is these kingdoms. There's the Buganda kingdom here in Uganda is where Kampala is. We should learn about kingdoms. They still exist.
Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna chat offline about shift in Nigeria and what I can do from where I'm at. So we will chat. This has been really good. I just want to say thank you. People like you are so important. Men like you are so important for other Black men, boys, anyone Black in the United States. Bridging the gap is necessary, beneficial for us all, and it literally takes one. So it's like each one teach one, each one connect one. No gatekeeping over here. Like we all have a very specific mission, and I just love to see us help one another, to learn one another, love one another, and uplift one another. So I am here to support you in anything that you need from me. You all make sure that you help this king in any way. If you're looking to go to Uganda, if you're looking for a mentor, if you're looking to mentor, if you are a teacher, if you're a learner, anything, business idea, get his book. Yeah, it's up. So I'm going to put all his information below in the video description. I miss you guys. I love you guys. I'm getting ready to go. And it's just been tumultuous, y'all. Do y'all see my bags, child? A girl is
Man, we
tired. I'm
did
on the
it.
way
We
to.
did it, man. We did it. We
We
came
did
through
it.
because it was not easy getting on this call, man.
It's
Listen,
been the
Brittany, thank
worst.
you
Y'all, I can
so
honestly say
much.
this has probably been my most unprofessional interview experience. And I'm so sorry. And I thank him so much for being patient with your girl. Because y'all know I do in person. So the virtual experience has just been real tumultuous, but it was 100% worth it, honestly. 100% worth it. So thank you so much. Love you guys. Mean it times 10. Over love you guys. Give me some love in the comments.
Peace.
Yeah, we're done.